We recently visited Venice for 5 days. On one of the days, we decided to take a day trip to Verona. Was it worth it? And what was there to see and do when you're there? Let's find out. Our accommodation was in the Cannaregio area of Venice. Anyone that's visited Venice will know that you can often walk between different locations, or you combine a bit of walking and the Vaporetto or water taxi. So you can see here we took the Vaporetto, and overall the journey on this took us about 12 minutes to get from our accommodation to the train station in Venice. The Vaporetto stop is less than a minute's walk to the station entrance. Venice train station is a reasonable size. You can see here from the destination board. We were, as you can see, just before 9 AM and the station, it wasn't too busy. There are ticket machines you can get your tickets from, or you can go into the ticket office. This is the ticket office. We actually did go into the ticket office for our outbound journey. Ticket office, when you go in, they have a machine similar to the sort of counters in a supermarket, where you just push the button, it issues you a number, and then when your number is shown on the screen, you come forward to the booking agent. Just be aware when you are booking your tickets or buying your tickets, there are different train options to get to Verona. Some are faster than others and some are more expensive than others. I'll talk a bit more about that towards the end of the video, but just to be aware, there are some differences in ticket options. As you can see, the weather wasn't kind to us on the day we decided to go to Verona, although later in the day it did brighten up a bit, but as you can see, everyone has their umbrellas up, and if you have been in Venice when it's been raining, some of the narrow streets, as you can imagine, people having umbrellas up does cause a few problems. So after we had our tickets, it was time to head down to the platform. The layouts for the platforms and the information is really clear. It's in Italian and English, so it's absolutely no problem finding the correct train. So here you can see us getting onto the train here. This is a sort of regional train, so you'll see on board the sort of interior is a bit more basic than the train that we got back, which I'll show you at the end of the video. The train from Venice to Verona on the outbound journey took 1 hour 28 minutes. And the ticket price was €10.20 per person one way. So it was just before 9 AM, so the train was relatively busy. Overall the train carriage was nice and clean. The seats quite basic. There's no sort of tray table or anything that folds down from the back of the seat. There's no storage at the seat. There's also no food service. There's no buffet car or trolley service for food, drink, snacks on this train, or this type of train. The journey to Verona is quite scenic. You pass several lovely little Italian towns as well as many vineyards. And roughly 1 hour 30 minutes later we arrived in Verona. We managed to walk from the train station to everything we wanted to see, and you'll see as this video goes on we visited several different sort of the key sort of tourist areas. We did take an Uber back to the train station, but we got to them all from the train station on foot. If you didn't want to or are not able to walk, obviously there is, as I mentioned, Ubers, there's taxis, and the train station, when you come out of the train station, is right next door to the bus station. We headed to one of Verona's most famous landmarks, the Verona Arena. You can see here from the train station it's a 21-minute walk. We found getting around Verona to be really good, really easy. Verona is actually one of the most visited cities in the whole of Italy. And as we go through this video and you see some of the locations we visited, you'll understand why. Next to the arena there's a large sort of square area where you can see there's a lovely park, nice fountain, And around the whole area, around this square, there's some lovely restaurants. In this square is where you'll find this small train, which you can jump on and do a short tour around the city. More about that later. And here we can see the impressive Verona Arena. This Roman amphitheatre was built in 30 AD. Originally the capacity was 30,000, now the capacity is 15,000, and today is still used for outdoor operas. I will add a link in the description below to the arena website that gives information on the events that are on and buying tickets, etc. The arena is one of Verona's most popular tourist attractions, so there was a queue to get in. However, it took about no more than 15 minutes to enter the arena. When we visited, the tickets were €12 each. Please bear in mind the ticket price may be different when you visit. We bought our tickets just on the day. However, you can buy tickets in advance via the website. I'll put a link in the description below. If you've ever visited a place like this before, then you'll know they're normally quite impressive, and this one didn't disappoint. It was first used for operas in 1913, but just looking around you can just sort of imagine going back a lot further in time, and originally this would have been used for the gladiators fighting. With your entrance ticket you're free to explore the arena, the sort of main arena area, and also the various sort of corridors that surround the arena. After the arena tour, we decided to do something. You also cross the river a couple of times, and some of the sort of lovely bridges that Verona has. Some great photographic opportunities. Commentary on board is available in 4 languages: Italian, English, German and French. So as you're passing things, the driver or the commentary is pointing out what they're looking at and what you're passing by. We felt this was a great way, in a 25-minute tour, just to see some of the key areas of the city, the key tourist attractions. The train itself is definitely not built for. And then it was time for some food. We chose this restaurant, which was just in the square next to the arena. In general, I thought food prices were similar to Venice, and the quality again was similar to Venice. Couldn't fault it, had a nice meal. Also similar to Venice, I'm sure if you go out with the sort of main tourist area, I'm sure the prices are slightly lower. If shopping's your thing, I did notice Verona did have a large selection of nice shops. Now I know why Italians are so well dressed. I've never seen so many designer label shops in one street. And now we were heading to our next destination, which is the house of Juliet and the famous Romeo and Juliet balcony. Now this is a very popular destination, and it was extremely busy when we visited, and I'm pretty sure it's very busy at all times of the day. To access the courtyard and the statue of Juliet is free. If you want to go inside the museum and up onto the balcony, the famous balcony, then it's roughly €12 per person. There are different prices for 18 to 25-year-olds. I will add a link in the description below that gives you the ticket information. You must purchase these tickets in advance. And these are purchased via the web. Here you can see the famous balcony, and you also see the statue, the bronze statue of Juliet, and tradition says that it brings good luck if you rub the statue's breast. So you can see here people getting selfies and doing exactly that. If you do actually want to get a selfie, then just bear in mind when you go there, you can see it is a bit manic, people queue jumping, etc. So just something to be mindful. If you've got young children who'd like to get a selfie, you may have to wait. We weren't bothered about getting a selfie. We were just visiting the location, so it wasn't an issue for us. Also, if you want to try and get a clear photograph of Juliet, you have to be very quick, because as you can see, there's limited gaps between people finishing the selfie and the next person jumping onto the statue. I managed to grab this quick picture. Everywhere around Verona there seems to be lots of things to see and do. I mean, only 5 minutes from the Romeo and Juliet location, we stumbled across this nice market. earlier. So after enjoying the lovely ice cream, our next stop was just a 10-minute walk to the Funicular railway, which takes you to the Castle San Pietro. This railway was originally opened to the public in 1943. It then closed during World War II and lay dormant for decades until it was refurbished in 2011 and reopened to the public in 2017. Buying the tickets for the railway, really straightforward process. Entrance is €3, return, or it's €2 if you are only going one way. So you can actually take the steps up or down and take the railway just one way if you're feeling fit. By this stage, we'd already done quite a bit of walking, so we took a return ticket to get up and down using the railway car. Once you reach the top, there are several vantage points that give you a really great view of the city of Verona. Back down and then head back towards the train station. So we bought our return tickets using the ticket machine as opposed to going into the ticket office. This, if you remember, I mentioned there was different train companies, different train times and different costs. So we never actually noticed for some reason that we actually purchased more expensive tickets. The train was 1 hour 12 back to Venice as opposed to 1:28 coming out. But the difference in price was instead of €10, 20, it was €29 per person. So quite a significant cost difference to reduce the journey time by 16 minutes. So we found out that the more expensive ticket is, instead of the sort of regional train, it's more of the sort of national train like this one here, the sort of bullet type train, which obviously are a lot faster, don't have so many stops. So there are some advantages, but the cost difference is quite significant. The extra cost for removing 16 minutes from the journey time was soon wiped out when we discovered our train was 25 minutes late. Once on board, these carriages, or this train, was a bit more luxurious. The seats were bigger, they had a little fold down table in front of you. There was food service on this train as well. You can see from the top right of the display here, by the time we actually got going, we were over half an hour late. And that was us back in Venice and the end of our day trip to Verona. So is a day trip to Verona when you're visiting Venice worth it? And would I recommend it? Yes, I would. We really enjoyed our day trip to Verona. Venice is a stunning city, as we know, as anyone that's visited knows. There are also reasons why Verona is one of the most visited cities in Italy. And we came away with an impression of Verona. Yes, it was definitely worthwhile visiting. Okay, and the weather, a nice sunny day, probably would have made a big difference, but we really enjoyed the day trip. The square where we sat and had our lunch, the whole place was clean. It was easy to it was accessible, easy to move around. Hopefully this video has given you an idea if Verona, or a day trip to Verona, might be something you could consider when you're visiting Venice. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. I will be releasing more videos certainly on Venice and other countries that I've visited. So if you subscribe, then make sure you'll get notified when I upload these videos. For us, it was back out of the station, back onto the Vaporetto for a short trip down the Grand Canal, and then the short walk back to our accommodation. Thank you very much for watching, it is appreciated, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.